We see the streets of Wyoming as we see spray painted on the walls of the buildings and windows. Rob Johnson is a killer. Take your songs out of your actions. He isn't who he says he is. Only a psychopath does what Rob Johnson does. Holly hears a knock at the door. As we see, Ragnar opens the door and she says, how did everything go with Ragnar? But then we see Ragnar walking into the apartment as she looks afraid and says, Ragnar says, shh. Take a listen. As we hear the riots outside, as he says, it's like time never moved. He pulls out a gun and says, you're the Holly that was with Vel Hazer's people. You know, I didn't get to know you too well, but Athena did. She kept you in here to keep you safe. Well, that shit just warms my heart. Holly says, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Ragnar. But then he takes the key and unlocks the cell door and lets her out. She walks out and says, what are you gonna do to me? Where's Desmond? Ragnar says, Desmond isn't coming. Holly says, please, you gotta believe me. Okay, it was self-defense. Ragnar says, hey, relax. I need you to relax. I believe you. You were just defending yourself. You hear that out there? I need you to take your ears out of your ass and take a listen for a second. Yeah. See? I promised Rob that if he ever got out of line again, I'd make him pay the price. Well, last night he got out of line again. Well, this is it. Now all of my people down there believe that he killed my men and not you. Holly says, You put this on Rob? Ragnar says, well, the murder needs a face, and just so happens I have one. Holly looks out the window and says, no, this isn't right. I mean, he didn't do this. Why place the blame on an innocent man for something he had nothing to do with? Out of nowhere, she gets shot in the head as Ragnar stands there with his gun as she goes down, and he says, and that's why I had to kill you. You see, Rob, I still have plans for. You, well, you're his debt that he had to pay. We see Rob looking out the window, seeing people in the streets screaming his name as he says, no, not again. As he now knows this is Ragnar, as he hears a knock at his door, as he grabs his guitar as he's ready to use it, as Vel walks in and says, Rob, it's me. Fucktard on a stick, you're gonna rock and roll my ass out the window with that thing? Rob says, sorry. Are you seeing this? Vel says, yeah, I saw. I think the whole goddamn state saw this shit. We need to get you the fuck out of this place now. Even if I have to pull Rainbow out of my asshole, then we'll make it happen. Come on. Rob says, it's happening again. Vel says, what? What's happening again? Rob says, I saw these words. When I was out there looking for Jade, I thought it was just nonsense, but I got people hurt. I got you hurt, my wife, my friends, my daughter. It's all because of my poor decisions. Vel says, Rob, I love you, bro, just like a fucking brother, but you gotta kick whatever shit is stirring up inside you and come with me now. If we stay here, we die. Rob says, we'll never get away. Vel says, well, we sure as hell are gonna try, even if it means me staying behind. I've been thinking of the last thing my sensei told me. You leave no man behind. Back with Ryder, Kai, and the others. We see them walking through the woods as Kai says, all right, what's the plan here, Ryder? Ryder says, we go in, get our people, and go home. I've done this type of thing before, and I'll do it again. Kai says, and what if it doesn't work this time, huh? Ryder says, you backing out? Kai says, fuck no, man, I'm not leaving you. I'm just asking. Are you sure this is the way? You get signs on this type of shit. That encounter we just had? There's a lot more where that came from. Ryder says no. Because think about it. Ragnar and the rest think that the group that they sent out stopped us. I mean, he sent Athena for crying out loud. He thinks it's handled. He thinks we're dead. So we can go there, and they'll think we died. We can get in, and we will get in. But then, we see skull hunters come out of the woods and start surrounding them from all sides. Kai looks pissed and he says, this part of your plan, Ryder? Ryder says, oh, don't worry, we can get out of this. The skull hunter says, really? Somehow I don't see that happening. You're coming back and we're gonna get out of nowhere. They get lit up and shot up by Elara, Mara, and a few other men. They run up to them and Mara says, Ryder, are you okay? Ryder says, yeah, I'm fine. The hell are you doing here? Elara says, just like your father, stubborn. What the hell are you doing? Ryder says, Mom. Elara says, don't you mom me. What are you doing out here? Ryder says, I came to kill Ragnar. I came to get our people out. Vel, Rob, Holly. We gotta get them all out, Mom. He's holding them hostage. And I've seen the type of things that this man has done to our people. It ain't pretty. Elara says, I know, but if you're gonna do this, you're gonna let me help you. We do this the right way, just like we did before all those years ago. Ryder says, all right, lead the way, Mom. Back with Athena. We see her washing up river as she is crawling, as we see a stick is stuck in her leg. She's in a lot of pain, as she then sees two deadheads approaching her, as she looks determined, as she slowly pulls out the stick out of her leg, as she screams out, as she uses the stick from her leg to kill both of these deadheads approaching her. She looks at her bleeding leg, and her head is bleeding as well. As she hears more deadheads coming, as she starts limping away to get back to Wyoming. Back in Wyoming, we see two guards at the gate as they hear a truck coming, as the guy says, is that Athena? She back? They see Elara and Ryder and a group in the van as they look worried as Ryder peeks out the window and pulls out a grenade and says, howdy, gentlemen. He throws it and it blows up the front gate of Wyoming and kills both of the guards as they bust through in their van and drive into Wyoming. Elara says, Ryder, Mara, you go for Rob's place. The rest sweep the compound for Vel and Holly. They can't be far. I'll circle around, make sure we're clear. As we see them split up, we see Rob and Vel running down the hall as they run down the stairs, but then they get cut off by 6 men with knives and swords, as Vel says. Shit. We see Ragnar runs onto the main street as we see some of his skull hunters as a bunch of his men get gunned down as some jump on top of Ragnar to save his own life. as we then see a few of the Lincolnville soldiers walk up to this. As they walk up to Ragnar, and one of them says, "So you're the head of the snake?" Ragnar says, "And who tried to kill who?" But then we hear a growling approaching. As then we see Frost comes in and starts ripping these men apart as he saves Ragnar's life. Ragnar gets up as Frost runs to him, and Ragnar says, "Frost, I knew you had it in you. I knew I at least could count on you." We see Vel stands in front of these men as the man says, "Rob Johnson, you've been a hard man to find. You're gonna come with us now." Vel pulls out both of her swords and says, "And who the fucking fuck said he was fucking coming with fucking you there, you fucking retard?" The man says, "Oh, aren't you a small little weak woman? You couldn't even protect your own people. You're gonna want to move aside or we'll tell Ragnar you made us do this." Vel says, "Yeah, and then I'll take Ragnar. Besides, my blade needed a little poke." She slices one of them in the throat as they all pull out their swords and start fighting up the stairs. Rob punches one of them and flips him on the ground. He then takes his gun and shoots two of them. He grabs another one and repeatedly punches him over and over again as Vel runs down the hall to get the last one. She then pushes the man into a spike on the wall. As he is left to bleed out, he's spitting out blood as Vel looks at him dead in the eyes and says, "Look at me. Look at me." She then starts slicing him up as the blood goes everywhere. Rob then says, Vel, we gotta go." Vel has a smile on her face as she feels free once again. We see Ragnar running with Frost as Frost looks to be getting tired as he falls down, and Ragnar says, "Frost, we gotta get somewhere safe. Come on, we need to go. You're a fighter. Don't you give up on me now. I'll tell you what, I can get you to..." Out of nowhere, Frost gets shot and killed by Ryder as he goes to shoot Ragnar as he notices it's his last bullet. His gun is now empty as he says, "Oh, okay. Looks like we're gonna have to do this one the old-fashioned way." He pulls out his machete as Ragnar looks furious and says, You fucking bastard." He runs at him and they both knock each other down as Ragnar starts punching him over and over again as he says, "I sent you away. I sent you to that factory in the hopes that you'd run away and yourself. How did you survive?" Ryder punches him and says, "Here's the difference between me and you. I don't feel any emotions. I don't rage. I don't cry. I feel nothing. And now you know what it's like to be faced with the outlaws, motherfucker." He pushes him off of him as Ryder starts getting shot at. As he runs away with his life, Ragnar looks pissed and says to his men, "Go, follow him now." We see Rob and Vel running through the streets as we see skull hunters block them off. As Rob and Vel stop, as Rob stands there and whispers, "I'm sorry, Vel." Vel says, "It's okay. Maybe we just weren't supposed to." Out of nowhere, they all get gunned down by Elara and Mara. As we see the other remaining soldiers as she walks in, and Elara says, "You both okay?" Vel looks relieved as Rob looks happy to see her. And Vel says, "We really gotta stop meeting like this." Elara says, "We gotta go, now." We see Ryder runs up to them as he says, "Hey, we gotta get the hell out of here now. They're tailing me after I killed that fucking animal." Rob says, "Wait, you killed Frost?" Ryder says, "We don't have time. They all know we're here. Come on, we gotta go." We see a group of skull hunters down the street as they start running towards them as Rob, Elara, and the others see their shot as they all bolt it to the gate, as they flee from Wyoming, but as we see everyone run out. Vel closes the gate and locks herself in and sacrifices herself so that they can get away. She locks herself inside as we hear Rob says, "No, no, please, no, no, don't do this, Vel, please." Vel says, "Go. You survived all this, and you have to survive now. You all have a family to go back to. Go. Tell my people I'm sorry. Tell my people I tried. Go. And go while you still can. My story ends here." Mara says, "Come on, Rob, we gotta go. We gotta go." Rob is trying to fight her as they then pull Rob away, as they all run for their lives, as Vel locks herself in and saves everyone's life. The Skull Hunters surround Vel around the wall as we then hear chains being dragged through the snow, as we see Ragnar covered in blood as he stands there with Frost laying there dead in front of him, as he says, Well, you know when I said I wanted to see more of you? I think you've seen enough. The fallen Haven can rise again, but our journey together, Vel, is done." But as we hear, "Stop!" we see Athena limps and walks through the crowd of Skull Hunters as she says, "What have you done?" "Look at yourself," Ragnar says. "What happened to you?" Athena says, "You really have the nerve to ask me that type of question after what you just let happen to this place?" Ragnar says, "What I let happen to this place? Or what they fucking did to this place? They have taken so much from us, and now I'm gonna take something from them." Athena says, "Taking her life? That is not worth it. Keep her alive. She serves us way better alive than dead." Ragnar looks furious as he says, "Alright, alive. Under one condition. It's what we did that night at the skate park. Time to twist the knife, Athena." Ragnar smiles as he pulls out one of Frost's teeth, as he gets two men to hold Vel back, as he says, "My Frost was the last thing in this world that was precious to me. Without that, you're gonna meet the real me, Vel Hazer. I truly don't know what else I could say besides congratulations. Your face will be a leading example to these people." As he uses the tooth to stab her eye out as she screams out in pain, as we see blood running down her face, as we see the sun coming up, as he says, "The drawings of a new day, and today's the day." As we see Rob, Elara, Ryder, and the others running through the woods, as we see Skull Hunters in the distance on their trail. As we see Skull Hunters standing outside the walls of Lincolnville. As we see the castle, as we see all of the families and fighters all lined up in a line, as we see them bringing Vel Hazer in, as we see her bloody eye with blood running down her face, as she looks terrified, as we see the Skull Hunters standing in front of her people, as Vel tries to look away, but 2 skull hunters keep her from turning her head as we see the skull hunters all load their guns and shoot every last one of her people in the back of the head, as we then see blood sprays all over her face as she lets out one big scream. As Ragnar stands there smoking his cigarette and says, "Savor your tears, sweetheart, 'cause I'm only just getting started." We see Ragnar walking through a cellar, as we see him grabbing a notebook and writing stuff down. As we see him writing 2 names, Dawson and Lisa. We see him step out of the cellar, as we see a man in a field, holding 2 swords. We see this man on his knees looking at the grave, as we see Ragnar walks up to him and says, "I hope they bought it. And after what Vel Hazer did, I know there's disappointment there. The West family has ruined our name, so it's time to expose them for what they really are."